Hello everyone, my name is Emubusa Onerime and I am the Customer Success Manager at Webwork Tools Limited. You can just call me Bosa, Bosa. So today I'm going to be talking to you about a new application that we built and it's for estate access control. So this application was inspired by all the trouble, not just us, but all the trouble we see at some estates, some facilities that we encounter when we want to access those facilities. We write down our names, our details, and we keep writing them over and over again. We write them in notebooks, which at the end of the day, when it's time to implement security protocols, it becomes difficult to start digging because there are too many entries in those notebooks. Are those notebooks necessary? Yes. But should we write too much? And then should we do too much in those notebooks or depend on those notebooks too much? The answer is no. So allow me to introduce a new solution called Property Access Manager. So this is the installation to it. You see, this is my Zoho Creator account. I haven't installed it yet. So when we give it to you to use for your property, you're going to get an email to install this. Now, the thing about this installation is that um, assuming you were just creating an account, with Zoho Creator for the first time, we're going to send you an invitation to be your developers. Just for the record, Zoho Creator is a platform used to build applications pretty much quickly and give you access to some of the functions that you would have if you had to wait for a large organization to make decisions on building applications for you. So instead of waiting for all of that to happen, we use Zoho Creator. So, just for a recap, that is why you can see this invitation from, it's written Zoho Creator here, developer, this is my username, the developer interface. So, I have sent this link for installation in this test account. So, now, what you do when you receive this from us, that is after you've fulfilled all the business requirements, you click on install application and then it's going to say you're about to install the application shared by apps at repo.webworktools.com. Then when you click on install, it's going to set up the application in your Zoho Creator account. Note that in order to continue to use this application, you would need to maintain a subscription to Zoho Creator, which is monthly or yearly. But then this application pretty much is going to work for you to do everything you need for your estate. So, if you wouldn't mind, I'm just going to take you on a walkthrough of what everything does in this application. So, first thing you see here is your list of managers. Mind you, this application, you won't have access to the source code from here. As you can see, it's not going to give you access to do anything about the source code. You're just going to be able to see, various things here like the permissions and all that. And I'm going to walk you through that in a little bit. But let's just go back to the application and I'll walk you through. But then you won't be able to access the source code. So everything that is given to you here is what you're going to have to work with. So here you have your list of managers. Your managers are the people who will be managing requests and basically request management. So those are your managers. And the requests are requests to access your properties. Okay. And this is where I'm going to now define what we mean by a property. So your managers need to provide their full name, phone number, email address, and their contact addresses. So this is where that will be. Now, the structure of this application is such that we have estates, buildings, and properties. Okay. So estates, buildings, and properties. So for real estate, we know that you will probably have an estate somewhere located in the city or in the town. And that estate really is maybe a large expanse of land with houses and all of that. So we expect you to put the estate name, put the address where the estate is located, so that you can find out which estate is part of what in terms of property access. Then we have the buildings. So buildings are the actual buildings in the estate. Now, we did not say houses, we didn't say offices, but we said buildings. Because we know that it's possible for you to have like different buildings in an estate. It might be different people's houses. It might be 10 houses in the building. It can be 10 offices in the building. It can be 10 different, flats in a compound. Whatever you want to refer that to, that expanse of land of where that is called a building in this application. Then we have properties. So under properties, you can have the building, and then of course for buildings are in the estate, yeah. So under properties, you have the building, then you have the property name, property description, then you have the property hosts. Okay. So, but here there's something different. If you go to managers, estates, and buildings, you see that you can just view all the buildings, and you can add the buildings, you can view all the estates, add the estates, you can view all the managers, add the managers. But there's something here in properties that's more. You have my properties. So the way the system works is because this is the administrator account, I have access to everything. But when we go to settings, I'm going to show you a couple of things around the philosophy in this application. So now we have all the properties. Yeah, they will all be listed here. Now, my properties are properties that belong to you who is logged into this application. So if for any reason you are a customer, or maybe you work in a facility but you have your own properties for any reason, maybe you're also paying rent but you are in the estate, you can also manage your own properties if you have access to a customer account, or if you as a manager you are also getting properties. So you can also have properties as well. Then we have members. So you see this list of properties here. If you are added as a member, that is when you'll be able to have your properties, because when properties are added for you, they're going to be listed under my properties. So you have where your member information is going to be added. But this basically is for the members of the estate, so the estate members. So people who are in certain properties, in buildings, in estates, as it were. Now we have policies. Well, this application came in with some policies, and I'll explain when I get to that point. And there's a reason that we introduced such. Though this is version 1.0, and we could probably, structure this differently in the future. But for now, this is just for those who want to manage access to their properties, to their estates, and this pretty much should solve some problems on the long run. So now we have, let's then go to guests here. So guests gives you like a list of guests that can be added. So for instance, this is for people to access the properties, yeah? So then you want a situation where the guests who come to the properties, you have their profiles. So this is where the guest profiles are added and what have you. Though I'm going to show only the web version of this application, but if you want a mobile demo or you want a full on-site demo at your estate, you can feel free to reach out to us and we'll be happy to avail you of such demonstration. Okay, but then this is where you enter your guest profile. As you can see, it contains everything about the guest, their last visited member and everything. I'll tell you how these get populated beautifully. Okay. Then we go to requests. Okay, so now requests is also like what you have with properties. It's also like what you have with policies. So effective policies are policies that are effective to you. That means that your properties, those policies apply to your properties. And maybe they have a start date, they have an end date, and all of that, but they apply to your properties. Whether they have expired or not, those are policies that were created for your properties, they'll be listed here. Okay. So if we go back to request, we see that we have my request. So what it means is that even you can submit requests in the system. Now, right now, if I submit requests, it won't really go forward. And I'll explain a couple of things when I'm talking about requests. But even as an administrator, there are certain things you need to be able to do to submit requests. And I'll explain that in a bit. But this is the request form. The form is not fully, it's not going to work because I haven't fulfilled some prerequisites. So when those prerequisites are fulfilled, I'm going to come back here to show you just how this form works. But let's go to the settings so that we can take a look at something a little bit. So in here, there are a few settings here. You have the date and time settings, you have the user permissions, you have the portal user permissions. Then you have localization. Now, localization allows you to work with languages that have been provided for the application and translations, as it were. So you can also add your own other languages, as it were, and then the application will be translated to those specific languages. The default is the user browser language. So if you are using this application from a French environment or from Portugal, you should see a translation in your language. Okay, so now we have permissions, and there are various permissions and there are various rules here. So I'm going to describe what these mean. So we have four different permissions provided in this app under users. We believe that the users of this application are people who work in estates. So there are four different roles provided with this application. The first role is the estate admin. The estate admin is the person who is more like the administrator for estates. So this person manages everything about the estate. In that case, I'm using the estate admin account to show you this demo so you can see everything that there is. But the estate manager has pretty much less privileges. The estate manager can do some things, maybe add some records, add members, and all that, but wouldn't be able to delete or do some other harder stuff. The security manager will be able to manage requests, basically see everybody and see what everyone is doing. But the security manager will not be able to do more than that. In fact, the security manager will not be able to delete requests. Okay, and finally, we have the estate supervisor. This is the person who will be looking at all the records to see what's going on across the security scale. Now, we have a couple of roles here, which is like the team lead here, and then we have team member and we have the collaborative member. Now, apart from this structure, this is a hierarchy. This is a hierarchy. And the way the hierarchy works is that the team lead and the team member and collaborative member, these two people, they they need to work on their own records. So for instance, the team member now is somebody who does not share his own data. So you have the team member whose data belongs to just him. So if the team member is working in the estate app, this app that we're giving you, this property access manager, his records or her records will not be shared with anyone. However, we then have other roles, which are like the collaborative member, whose records are shared with peers. Okay. Then, if we come back now, we have the team lead. Now, you find out that in these roles now, the team member reports to the team lead, and the collaborative member also reports to the team lead. So this shares data, the other doesn't share data. But the team lead doesn't report to anyone. Okay. So the team lead is the team lead, and as you can see, I have associated users who have access to this application as team leads. Okay. So we will just move forward in terms of getting started. So I've talked about the permissions here. Now we have portal user permissions, and we have only one permission here, which is the property host. So the property host pretty much has access to submit requests and see their properties, see the policies that apply to them, and also the request. But they cannot see information about the guests. All they can see is maybe a little display name about the guests that came to see them. All right. So let's go back to the application. So this application works in two beautiful ways. The first way it works is that you can use it just as an application at the gate of your estate. So when people come in, of course, you are going to have to add all your managers, add the estates, buildings, properties, add all the members in the estate. Everybody who has property, you're going to have to add all of them, and you can put some policies around, for different blocks or buildings or properties and all of that, and all that. And then you can also have like guests, added by yourself. You can also have requests added by yourself. So when somebody comes to the gate, the ideal situation, if you are not going to follow the second model I will describe, is that you're going to add this person maybe as a guest. And then, in order to get their ID document, you might need to pull up the camera. Though I can't click this now because my webcam is on, so it's gonna, jam up here. But the ideal scenario is that when you click this, it's going to open the camera. You can then snap the ID card of the guest. It opens the camera here. You snap the ID card of, you snap the face of the guest and make sure it's the right person before you provide their name, email address, their name, phone number, and if they have an email address, you can provide it. It's not compulsory. Then you need to provide their contact address. Now, this is default as active, but you can uncheck it if you're just adding the guest, but the guest is not going anywhere. Because if the guest is not active, then the guest is not going to be able to check into the estate. And this is one way of handling security to make sure that the wrong people don't come to your estate in case you want to provide everyone. Now you can choose the last visited member here, last check-in date and time from gate controls. That is pretty much up to you to do. But the ideal scenario here is that you should be able to, um, pretty much manage what is going on here completely. Okay. So that being said, if you come to request after adding the guest, you should be able to come here, and then there's going to be a few added here when we finish the prerequisites that allow us to add the information about the person in the estate so that the guests can gain entry to see that person. Okay? So the thing here is if you don't use the second method, if you are just using this, you will not really benefit from the advantages of this. So you have the ability to create a portal for people in their houses to be able to log in and see information about people who come to visit them instead of the ordinary way. So if you can commercially take advantage of having portal users and put everyone in the estate having user accounts, it means that everyone's going to have an email address. So when they have their email addresses, it doesn't have to be everybody really. But the problem with what the issue is when you say you want someone to come see you, or somebody comes to the gate to come to see you, and a request is generated, what we are going to advise you to do is you are going to have to, you who is at the gate, you're going to have to tell that person, find a way to give the person what is called an access code. The person needs to give it to his visitor, and the visitor needs to spell it out for you. That way, you can confirm that that is the correct person that wants to do the visit. In case you don't want to use the portal, but if you want to use the portal, then the members of your estate will be able to request for guests to come and see them. So you're not going to be adding the guests by yourself. These members will be adding information about the guests that want to see them, and they can even go ahead and upload, profile photos, but they will not be able to put in last visited member, last check-in time, date and time, last check-out date and time. No, they won't be able to do that because that will introduce really very unnecessary problems for the estate management. So the property hosts cannot edit these records. Only those within the estate can, that is, those who are managing estate records can actually access these three fields. Okay. So that being said, let's move forward to set up the application. So in order to add a manager, I'm going to add this account that I'm using as a manager. So this is a demo account, user one and demo three. So I'm going to say the manager is webwork tools demo three. Okay. So I'll say okay, user one, demo three. Okay, I'm gonna put webwork tools phone number here. So and then the email address will be user one dot demo three, right? No, at demo three rather. Okay, at demo three dot webworktools.com. Okay, then contact address. So 123 um, estate A. So that's the name of my estate. I'll say the estate is located in Port Harcourt, and then River State, and then I'll just have a postal code here, and then put my country as Nigeria. And then the moment I add this, this is then going to allow me to submit requests as somebody who works in the estate. So you see, something has come to this form, which is a member phone number or email address. So I can go ahead now and submit requests on behalf of a member by providing either their phone number or email address. So if somebody comes to the gate and the person wants to see, maybe a somebody in the facility, so what you do is you tell them to call the member. When they call the member, or you tell the member to call in the security. When the member calls in the security, then you now ask the member, okay, what is their own phone number and all that. So you put the member's phone number, and then the moment you put their phone number or you put their email address, if it's correct, it's going to bring up their property. Okay, and then you can then choose to add the guest information. Again, you can now snap the guest document, the guest photo, and what have you. Now, this person is at your gate point. Probably you have a tag you're going to give them to wear or something. Yeah. So if you are giving them the tag, we're going to give you very smart ways that you're going to run this tag thing. But you can snap their ID, snap their photo, their face, put their name, put their phone number, put their address. Now, the good thing about this is if the guest has been added before, you can just go ahead and choose existing and put their phone number, email address if it exists, and then it will go on. And the beautiful part of it is you can go to the guest list and say, okay, you search for them, and then you can confirm that that's the person you see. Ask them for their ID, you'll be able to see who they are. And then when this person now calls in, then you can lodge this request. When you lodge the request, then you can, you know, check in whoever it is. So you have to make sure that your member calls you. That's your responsibility if you're not going to use portal. But if you're going to use a portal, then the member doesn't even need to call you. The member would have done all this. So what you just do is to come to request and check the person in. Of course, after you see it here. So once it's in here and it's done by the member, then you can check in. But let's go ahead and add the other things about the estate so that we can move forward. So in terms of the estate name, let's call this estate A. Okay. And we now have, let's say this is at Rumola. Okay. Estate A, Rumola or something. And then I put River State. I just put a postal code here. I put the country. So this is where this estate is, estate A. Okay. Then for building, inside estate A, you can now have building, or for some people, you have B01. Maybe that's how you name your buildings. You can then say B01, maybe 2 bedroom flats at wing one, or something like that. Just whatever that building is, or you can just call it wing one. So it depends on how you structured your estate. So when you add this, you now go to the property, then you now call the property name. So you now have maybe number four, or let's say flat A. Flat A is inside wing one already. So you can call this maybe a 2 bedroom flat or something. Okay. Now you don't have to put the property host yet because it's going to be a bit complicated to add the property host. Okay. So because if you come here and say you want to add property host, it will, there is no host yet. You've not added any members. So you can just click on add for flat A. So if you go to properties, you see that you have this 2 bedroom flat and flat A. Then you have members. This is where you now add your members. Now I'm going to use a portal approach in my own case, and I'm not going to upload real IDs here. But I would advise you to take this serious in your member authentication. Make sure your members are doing the right thing. So here we have member profile type. You have the internal and you have the external profiles. In our definition, internal is in case you have maybe an estate ID card system, then you can use that and call it internal. In case this person is not using an estate ID card system, or you are not using that, you can choose external. This is just to help you identify the internal and the external members of your estate. It doesn't really do anything else on this form. So let's say I have an internal estate ID card. So I'm going to try to, maybe pick an ID card for the estate. So let's just go to my download and pick something here. So I'm just going to pick maybe this Zoho one image as my profile ID. Okay. Then my profile ID number. So that ID is supposed to be like my ID card. Yeah. So my profile ID number, maybe it is 100 123 or something, whatever you did for your estate. But if you are using an external ID card like a driver's license and all that, you might want to put the ID number here that you find on this document. Then you have the photo of the member. Now, this member is going to be me, though I can't take my photo right now because I'm using my webcam. So I'm going to use the upload option because the camera option is there to take photo, but I have to use the upload option so that I don't mess up this recording. So I'm going to assume that this is my profile photo. So I'm going to upload it here. Okay. So I have uploaded it, and then I put my first and last name. Now I'm going to put my phone number, as it were. This is the emergency phone number at WebWork Tools. Then I'm going to put an email address here. This is the, no, let me use, okay, so I'm just going to use this. mobosa at com. This is my personal email address that you can use to maybe give me a gig or send me money. I'm just kidding, but basically this is my email address. So I'm going to use this to create a portal account. So then now where are we? So this is 123. 123 estate was the estate, yeah. But my contact address maybe is at number one, um, maybe Simple Road, and we call this Port Harcourt, whatever. Or we say this is in GRA, and I do reverse. Okay. Then I put some sort of postal code here. I put Nigeria. Okay. And then I can have member remarks. It's okay. This is a landlord or something. Or maybe I'll just say landlord. Sometimes it can be a tenant or something, whatever. Now, when the member has been verified, you mark the member as verified. If you know the member is going to have properties, you mark the member as a host. Now, what this tells you is that a member can be assigned to a property as a member, but not necessarily that the member is the person who is going to be requesting for visits. Because even at the gate, you're going to want to identify people coming into the estate. So they need to be able to enter the properties, but not all of them will be able to request for visitors. So when you're making requests, you find that those that are not hosts, you'll not be able to request people to visit them. You don't want maybe your daughter or your son at home to be bringing in strangers to the house. So when you add them as members to your estate, let's say if estate is enrolling, maybe minors or people who are not supposed to be hosts do not have to be added as hosts. So you need to identify who your host in each property is so that you just manage security a lot better and safer. But for now, I'm going to add myself as a host because I'm going to be requesting for access, visit access. Okay, so I've been added as a member. Now, there's something very beautiful about this app. It gives each member a unique QR code. Now, this QR code is very interesting because it allows you to, what you do is when each member registers, you can download this QR code and give to them. If you need any more services for us to automatically send the QR codes, we can. That's very achievable. But you can download the QR code and send to them. What this does is when they come to your gate, if you scan this QR code, it's going to bring up a link to your people as security, and then when they scan it, they would automatically see the profile of the member, and they will see something like this, like the member's details. So what this really does is it helps you to identify people coming into the estate. It's either they are members and you're able to scan their QR codes, or better still, if you're not using their QR codes, you might want to just search for them so that you can see their profile photos. But for somebody who is in a car, if you give the person his or her QR code, they can just bring it up, you can scan it, and you see the person's face, and they drive away. Other than having to say, oh, what's your phone number, what's your this, what's your that, they just point the QR code to you. You scan it, and they drive away. So when you scan it, it's going to bring up their record, and then they can drive away. So that being said, we go to the next one. Now, for the purpose of this demo, we're not going to go into sophisticated use of the policy management, but I'm going to explain this to you. You can add up to 5 properties at a time when adding policies. We try not to make it a global thing to add policies so that you don't get into havoc. So here's the thing. These policies allow you to immediately or quickly enforce certain forms of security. And I'm going to explain this to you, though I'm not going to try to demonstrate it because it's going to take us back and forth too many times in this video, and the video is going to be way too long. So if you want a personalized demonstration of this application, we are available to come to you and then have that demonstration sorted out. So here we have this option here, which allows us to deactivate asset. Now, what this does is if we deactivate access for any number of properties, it means that nobody can make requests on those properties. So, for any reason, maybe there's a crime, maybe armed robbery or something, then you want to stop people from visiting those properties. So and remember, when you give people access to properties, always use tags or something so that you can have references to who went to where and who went to what. And I'm going to show you just how you're going to track everything. Okay, so the next thing here is you can ban guests on failure to check out. Now, this is my favorite because what this one does is if somebody checks in and the person, maybe most times it's when they commit a crime, the person goes through another gate out of the estate. When they come back again, in fact, prevent the members from receiving them again. So when they come to the estate, maybe they're not lucky to pass the back gate and they want to come through the front gate, you're going to deny the guests access. Now, the thing about denying the guest access, it can be temporary. It's just for you to get a hold of the situation, ask the right questions, bust crimes, and all of that. You can turn it off, or you can check out the guests from where they didn't check out by just searching the requests where they did not check out. So, this is a way of really controlling how people come in and go out of your estate. Now, this one here, this restrict guests to last visited members property, is sometimes. So let's put it this way. Okay, if you have maybe a wing or a part of your estate where anybody who goes to that part is only that part that they are going to. Let's put it this way: you have a school in your estate, or you have a church, and you have a guest that comes to the church, or you have a guest that comes to the school, or somebody who is coming to the school. He says, I don't know anybody in this estate, but I want to come and check out this school for my daughter, for my son, and all that. Remember that we talked about membership to the estate, yeah? So if you have maybe parents for a school, you might want to have external membership methods where you have external ID and then you can say parent at Golden Springs School, something like that, so that you can know the reason the person is coming into the estate. So if there's a security sweep, you'll be able to know that this person is a parent at a particular school, But then if it's just a guest, you want a situation where you do not want people who are visiting the school to go anywhere else in the estate. So if they go anywhere else, that means they are criminals, they are thieves or whatever. So you can, take action, civil action or otherwise on such people. So if there's like a school, you can select the school here and restrict this. Then you have member cannot belong to any more property. Now, what this means is that also, still likewise, the school situation. So if you have a situation where there's a school now and you have somebody who's a member, or even not even just a school staff, let's say a parent of the school, yeah, you want to put this as member cannot belong to any more property. Okay, so that parents of such schools they are not staying in the estate just to say they can't belong to any more property. Yeah, because they didn't have property in the estate before now. And remember that maybe in this case, these members are it is because they are in the school. Let's say it's not a school. Let's say it is just a temporary situation. Like a member is just coming to the property for a period of time. You can set up a policy for that situation. So that policy can even have like a start date and an end date. So let's put it this way. Somebody is expecting 10 friends to come for a birthday party. So what you can do is mark the person's property and make sure that anybody who is coming to their property, maybe on Sunday for the party, is only coming to their property. So let's say they've added the guests, they've made all the requests for the guests to come in. So the guests cannot then be checked into another property. They can't come and visit somebody else in the estate for security reasons. If they're going to visit someone else in the estate, then they have to make it clear, and then you have to also discuss with the property host as to what is really going on and why his guests are visiting other people in the estate. So he might have to, they might have to really find another way around it, because this is some control measure. So this is an agreement. These two are agreements between the property owners, and it just depends on the scenario. Some scenarios, maybe for office spaces and all that, some scenarios require this control. Okay. Now we have two more rules. Email address is required. Contact address is required. Now, for some properties, let's say offices or something, you might want all the members to have email addresses and contact addresses. The reason is you want them to log in and you want them to make requests by themselves. You don't want office stress, because a lot of people come into offices every day, morning, afternoon, and night. It's not like a home that is private. Offices are usually crowded with visitors, so you might want them to have their own portal accounts. And you might also want a situation where people in those offices give you some other contact address that they have. It's possible that the contact address of a member is where they live. Maybe they are a landlord. But the point is, for offices, for instance, you might want to enable this too, so that you can really, really control things. But phone number is always compulsory. So now that we've gone through this, I'm going to then demonstrate three different ways that we can handle visitations. So the first way we can handle visitation is to add the guest ahead of time. That is, let's say somebody comes to the gate and he says he wants to see a particular member. All right. So you want to see a member. What is the member's name? Who do you want to see? I want to see Emobosa. So you come here now and you search, okay, Emobosa. And when you search, tada! So it brings up the results and you see Emobosa here. Then you ask a few questions. Do you know where you're going to? What house? Okay, this place, this road, this stuff like that. Okay, what's their phone number? You ask them to quote their phone number. Okay. So now when you quote it, then you call the member. Maybe you have a CUG, whatever in the estate, you call the member. And when you call the member, you then say, oh, there's somebody here to see you. He says his name is. In fact, if you want to be really smart, what you can do, first of all, is to ID the person. Okay? So you come here and you upload the person's documents. Yeah, like ID. In this case, you are supposed to snap it. You snap their photo and then you put their name. So let's call this Ben Doe. Okay? And this person's phone number is 00312345667. Okay? Now, he doesn't have an email address, he's just a guy. And he lives at Room Igbo. Okay? And he's coming to see somebody in your estate at Rumala. So, this is his address. Maybe he gives you some sort of address at Room Igbo and all that. Now, you don't need to fill all of this. You just leave it the way it is, because he has not visited anyone again. Anyone before. He hasn't visited anyone before. If he says he has visited someone before, confirm from that person and confirm when he said he visited the person. Usually, these are supposed to be provided automatically, but sometimes when you are cross-checking, especially with those paper books you put at the gate, you might want to, put this by yourself. So you can put this in, check in and check out date and time as it were. Okay. So when you add this, So now I have added the guest. So now that I've added the guest, I can now make a request for this guest to see this member. And the guest has only a phone number. So I've confirmed from the member now. And I'm going to put the phone number. It's always in international format. So you have to teach your security that. And then I'm going to choose the property. And then since it's an existing guest, I'm going to put the guest's phone number as well. 3, 4, 7. And then I add the request. So since this guest has been authenticated, yeah, I'm going to have to come here now and check in the guest. So you see this access code, I'm going to explain it to you a bit later. But let's click check in to check in the guest. Okay. And then now the guest has been checked in. Okay. Now you see that there is no opportunity for me to check out the guest. And the reason is, you see, the guest has been checked in by me, but I can't check out the guest. The reason is that the member has an email address. You see, me as a member, I have an email address. Okay. So if you remove this email address, for instance, okay. Now, because when you added this request, I had an email address. Yeah. Now you can see that you can check me out. Like you can check out the guest. But before checking out the guest in the estate, you need to come and then provide what is called a visitation report. Because you are the gate. Mind you, there's a mobile app for all of this, so you can use the mobile app. So you can say we have done or everything is okay or so, or you can say oh he stole something or what. But you must provide a visitation report, even if you just type okay. So when you provide a visitation report, then you can try to check out this person. Okay. So now this person has been checked out of the estate. If you don't provide the visitation report, you'll not be able to check out this person. Now you see that visited is marked as no. Visited is marked as no because the member did not have an email address, obviously did not have a portal account. So it was difficult or almost impossible to offer some kind of services to the member in that regard. So because of that, really, we cannot, you know, like trust on the visitation except for what is provided by this person at the gates. So this is the person who checked in, this is the person who checked out. So you need to talk to this person at the gates. Okay. And of course, if you have people on duty at different times, you can check the duty rosters for who and who was on duty when this check-in and check-out happened, just in case you're not giving all of them email addresses. Okay, so let's go to the guest record and see a couple of things here. So you see that in this guest record, yeah, visited member is not specified, but the last check-in and last check-out is specified. So in this case, what we're going to do, we can come here and manually specify the last visited member. Okay? If we want to, we can do that as people at the gate or people in the estate management and all that. So just to put it on record because we know that the member was last visited. But sometimes this might be an armed robber and all that. So yes, probably he didn't visit the member and you caught him later stealing or killing somebody or whatever. So yes, it's on record he didn't visit the member because if you do this manually, it's going to show that you did it manually, you updated the record. But as it stands, if we check the record details, you see that the so this is the added time, this is the updated time. Can you see the updated time is almost close to the checkout time? So these are some smart things that you can use for checking security. So if somebody else came to modify this record later, then you're going to have to ask the security person who was on duty at the modification time. So what happened? What did you do at this time? In case you are, fighting crime. Then this is one way of doing check-in and checkout. Now let's do check-in and checkout from the customer's angle. So let's go to put the email address back for the member. Okay. So I'm just going to put back my email address here. Okay. And then I'm going to go and refresh this application. Okay. Okay, so this is it here. So this is the app that we're looking at. Now, I need to create a portal for this app. So I'm going to come here and choose the application, Property Access Manager. So I'll say www.tdpam. Okay. And this is private. So the default permission is property host, as you can see here. I'm just going to put a few settings. Maybe I don't want the portal users to change their email addresses. And I think we're good here. Let's just leave this. So we're good here. So we create a portal. So this is a portal, www.tdpam@zohocreatorportal.com. So let's go to, no, let's not go there yet. Let's invite a portal user. So I'm going to invite myself here as a portal user here. So I've invited myself as a portal user. I'm now going to go and log in, okay, to my mailbox so that I can access the portal. Okay. So my mailbox is opening. I use Zilum, by the way. This is Zoho product, so you might love it. So my mailbox has taken some time to open. Um, okay, here we are. So it's almost like workplace, but it's for personal use, not too expensive. Okay, so I've been invited to join this portal. So I create a new password, and then okay, so I confirm, and I'm in. So I see my properties here. So these are my properties. I see policies that affect me. For now, there are no policies. Then I see my request. So you see, this request is assigned to me already. So if I had a history, the history is going to be here. Now you see this thing called access code. This is something for me to work with. So if I want to receive a visitor again, I'll just come to add request, select the property. I can add a new visitor or I can choose an existing one. And then I put my visitor's full phone number. I can put email address if I know that they have one. And then I'll do this and click on add. So it has added the request for me. So this is it here. So this is my request. And there's an access code. So what I'm going to do, you see, this request was for 30th, okay? Say I want the person to come next week or whenever, I can put the request here. It's always going to be here. So when the person comes, whenever the person comes, I need to make sure I've given the person this code here. It's always a random code for each request. So in this case, it's FYQREG4CGT. So it's very difficult to guess. You can't guess the code so easily. So when the person comes all the way, where's that now? Okay, so when the person comes now, he comes to the estate and he wants to come and see me. Bendo wants to see me. So it's okay, what's your name? My name is Bendo. So they come here and look for Bendo. Okay, maybe it doesn't work out. Maybe I could just say um, they look for Bendo among the guests. So you search for Bendo here. Or Ben. I think I should search using Ben. Okay. So just search for Ben. Okay. So this is the person. Now, if there's no picture or ID, then you can come and say, okay, where's your ID card? Where's your photo? Or show your face, let me snap you, stuff like that. And then, as a courtesy, because this has not been provided ahead of time, you can then call this your member who is a portal user and say, Sir, Bendo is here to see you. Can you kindly confirm? Then you, with your portal account, you will be able to tell them, yes, Bendo is here because they have confirmed, they have gotten the photo and all that, they have ID'd him and all that. If they have challenges with him, they will just come to the member and say, hey, member, there's a problem with your Bendo guy. He is not behaving. We have to take him to the police or something. So, because now they have to ask him, can you give us your access code? Then he will say FYQREG4C 60. Okay, so when he confirms it, they're going to check him in. So they've checked in Bendo. So when you come to, after they've checked in Bendo, if you come to your request, you will see that Bendo has been checked in. So that means he's coming straight to your house. Now, before you mark him as visited, I promise you this, you have to do this first. Put a visitation report. He came to my house with a gun. For instance, and you update. Okay? Maybe he put a gun to you, say, give me your phone, give me your laptop, give me everything. Yeah. And he left. You don't argue with him. But with your app, you just say he came to my house with a gun. Now, when the person at the gates, in fact, if you don't even mark it as visited, that's the first suspicion. Because they will ask him, okay, please hang on. They will now check. He came to my house with a gun. Oh, yeah, 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 go to the ground, stuff like that. So, in fact, if you're able to call the people at the gate, you can tell them to check it out, what is specified, and they'll be prepared. But whatever it is, if you are satisfied, then you can then click mark visited. So this is now going to be marked as visited. That means that this person actually came to my house with a gun and I was alive to tell the story. However, I was able to click visited. Okay. So after that, now that you've clicked visited, the people at the gate will come here and now see, oh, he came to my house with a gun, visited, then they call the army or whatever it is that comes to do crime busting, blah, 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 and all that is done. Maybe he goes to the police station from here, maybe he's never checked out. But let's just say it's a lie or it's just a joke or whatever it meant. Then you might say, oh, um, the the member reported the presence of a gun, but he was wrong. It was a toy gun. Let's just say there's something like that, yeah? So because you've searched the person and you've confirmed and you've cleared with the member that truly it was a toy gun. So you put it this way because this is a report now. Then you check out. Okay? So once this has been checked out, the record can no longer be edited. You see? So this is the report of the visit by Bendo to the property. So this is how the property access manager app works. And now you have the guest information with their photo and everything. You have your members' information on your properties and everything, and you can really, really manage scenarios across board. So if you need this application, feel free to follow the instructions right at the bottom of this video, and I will be more than happy to help you set this up, or of course let you know what it will take for us to set this up for you. Thank you so much, and have a good time. Bye.